Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Why poetry? One of my favorite poets, Roger Robinson, he uses this phrase that I'm passionate about it, that poetry is an empathy machine. So I truly believe in that. And I also believe that poetry can be used as a way to express and overcome and deal with trauma. And today I'm going to read a few poems from the Migrant Dictionary. And so just a bit of context, this pamphlet uses and plays with the dictionary entry form, and we works with it through two main characters, almost unknown in Irish literature, which are Ulysses and Molly. So, arrive. Verb. 1. To reach a place, especially at the end of a journey. As in, Ulysses arrived at the airport and walked up to the terminal as a gust struck his dark-skinned face. He had prayed for 16 hours, asking the gods to make his motor cortex understand that in this land, push means push, while in his land, pull means push. But it came to nothing, as his hands forced the double doors that never gave in. 2. Of an event, to happen or start to exist. When the time arrived, after the moon had rotated more times than he could bother to count, Ulysses packed the luggage his father had paid for in 10 installments, because a truck driver can only spare so much of his salary. 3. To reach a place or decision. To arrive on that continent, Ulysses worked shifts of 10 hours from Monday to Saturday. On Sundays, he would sell slices of carrot cake whose lemon glaze made him relieve his mother's bed sheets flapping above the blue and violet geraniums. 4. To achieve success. To wire 100 euros to his father on a day with a good conversion rate would mean his father's health insurance payment, would mean Ulysses had arrived. Border. Noun. 1. A line separating two countries or other special areas. As in, the tortilla wall severs Mexico from the United States, infierno from cielo. At the border, agents observe the free flow of goods producing maquilas, whose workers earn up to $4 per shift. The workers, their siblings, and ex-lovers who sell tamales and antojitos during Chivas games cannot cross the wall. The wall has been integral to everything we have accomplished here, declares a border agent, as crosses placed onto the desert by families of Juarez missing women resist the heat. 2. The outer part, edge, or boundary of something. Pateras set out from Tangier's coast late in the night, brimming with returnees eager to cut across the Straits of Gibraltar for the 11th time, brimming with women whose husbands stopped calling from a French well, brimming with babies whose moans are shushed by cloths laid inside their mouths, brimming with bodies whose skin is too dark, whose gods too evil to be granted a safe passage across the European border. Home. Noun. 1. Place of residence of a person or family. As in, her home had been built by her grandfather, who had built her aunts and uncles' houses too. Her home's roof had as many holes as a chain fence. In summer, when clouds burst above the village, she recorded the rhythm rising from raindrops against buckets and plastic pots that once stored butter, composing the anthem of poverty. When the terrorists arrived, her home was the first to be burnt down. When she left the hideout, soot was falling from the sky. She thought that God was coughing up her life. 2. The social unit formed by a family living together. She cooked for the 13 people living in the temporary accommodation her family had moved to. There was jollof rice, fufu, and pounded yam. During dinner, she heard Romina saying that Mexican rice used the same long grain and some of the spices used in jollof. She memorized Alika's jerk chicken recipe, which reminded her of the peri-peri chicken she had eaten in a Mozambican restaurant. Later, washing the dishes, she thought, this might be a home. This next poem, it's called Migrant. Noun. 1. A person or persons who take residence in a foreign country. As in the wee hours of a December morning, migrants squeeze their bodies under umbrellas passed from hand to hand, so the previous holder can warm their fingers. Like pilgrims for insane communion bread, they await the distribution of 5 by 5 holy paper, granting them the right to walk past the registration's office reception to be questioned by sleep human saints whose thoughts are on a Costa del Sol beach. 2. A person who moves regularly to find work, especially in harvesting crops. To safeguard fences installed along Dublin's Grand Canal, migrants gather slates from nearby construction, en-suite room from €1,200 a month, and outline a bonfire. They roast fefel domei, as in Afghanistan, okra, as in Barbados, maize, as in Peru, falafel, as in Palestine. Around the bonfire, they clap, dance, and sob, celebrating comrades waving letters on which the life sentence, asylum protection granted, has been printed. This next one is the last one that I'm going to read from the pamphlet, and it's called Under. Under, preposition. Less than. As in, a fortnight to the deadline for college fees, Molly is over budget. Night shift comes to an end with dock workers queuing for breakfast rolls. They banter in a melange of Slavic languages and a North inner city accent she fails to untangle. She opens the deli's oven, checks the temperatures of rashers, sausages, and black pudding, and wonders, if I come across a stack of purple notes, will I return it? 2. Receiving or undergoing the action or effect of. Molly enters a €1 million terrace in Blackrock. The owner gives her a tour of the grounds, and as they walk past the external patio facing the ocean, he says, "You don't need to clean the hot tub." She wonders if a hot tub resembles a whirlpool, like the one in the hotel where her mother first uttered chemotherapy. Molly puts her earbuds in, sprays citrus-scented all-purpose cleaner onto the tiled walls, and scrubs it as Freddie Mercury sings Under Pressure. 3. In or into a position below, beneath, or lower than something. The notification lights up her phone as she empties the club's bins located under an emergency exit. She's gone. Molly relieves the morning before, when the sides of her mother's mouth contracting to a grin as she held the student card in front of the camera. She hears the light thud of a golden finch against a windshield somewhere. And the final poem, perhaps, that I'm going to read, it's a poem that the title is self-explanatory. The poem's title is called Tax Ride to UCD, and is loosely based on a conversation I had with this taxi driver when I was going to UCD for an event. I was late, I had to get a taxi, and the conversation really stuck with me, and particularly when he told me about his mother's health. So I thought it was appropriate to read this here today. So, tax ride to UCD. Family comes first, right? I nod in agreement. The driver continues. I dreamed of farming bell peppers, their colors scorching the land until the eye got weary. I dreamed of reaching the Himalayas peaks to be lulled by the hush of the heavens. But I'm a family man. My mother felt a dark grape ripening in her mouth, the vine disseminated, reaching knuckles matured by bread kneading. Then the arm shot my brother, the X-ray of his elbow joint like a puzzle swept by a hurricane's breath. I buried my hiking equipment on the nearest hill. I sowed seeds, plows, and ox. I didn't want to leave the village, nor surrender what could have been to what was. But what is the conversion rate of dreams to rupees? I'm a family man. To this day, I wake up to the memory of Punjab songs. Dreams come and go, just the way cars speed past us. But this kind of love, rare like a bloody moon. And the final one that I'm going to read was also published in Banshee, the most recent number of Banshee. I was in the gym one day, and like for those who write, you really need to write down stuff when stuff come to you. And I was at the gym half six in the morning, and I had this idea. And like from the first draft to this draft that printed here, published in this magazine, there is very little change. So I always remember that. Receive my hands like a house. Palms open, I polish surfaces, attentive to crevices hosting unnamed past lovers. Those who left behind Zippo lighters stashed in drawers, mints in coats' pockets, underlined passages in novels you dare not to open, but who sang to, who described the palette of Marrakesh dire quarters and gifted you a tin box crammed with dried apricots you devoured as your monthlies neared. My hands witness skin cracking into arid streams, the workout you call sleep. So I lure your aches readingly bay. I went along the river alone in the moonlight. I learned to interpret your shadows, those beings of hope, and your body memorize how the sun's glow lands on my hands. Like a seamstress, my gestures are swift so I can shelter always your breath. Thank you so much.